When I first got mold illness, I basically spent a month living in Airbnbs and looking for another place, and I have videos documenting that. And I found a place that felt really good to me and felt mold-free, and like while I was there, I really didn't notice any problems there. But in retrospect, I realized that it was too moldy there for me to do the kind of detox that I wanted to do. And so I just want to talk about like some signs if a place you're in might it might be possible to get into a less moldy place, or if that would, it all depends on your needs and how much you want to detox and everything. And so the signs that I wasn't in a good enough place for me to detox as much as I needed to would be that first that when I took cholestyramine, I got massive inflammation, just crazy irritable, like a devil. like I really traumatized my boyfriend that I was living with, and he still hasn't forgiven me. And it was just really rough taking it, but I had to, because if I didn't take it, then I had no memory, and it was really hard for me to do my job, and so I was caught between a rock and a hard place where I knew I had the detox, but it made me very irritable being that inflamed. And the other major sign that I wasn't in a good enough place is that I had to sleep a lot. I had to sleep about 10 hours a night, and I didn't have a lot of exercise tolerance. I would go to the gym and could work out for about 10 or 15 minutes, and that's all. And I would get tired just walking like half a mile or a mile to and from the gym. So I thought everything was fine, and I thought that was just the way things were, that everybody has symptoms when you're detoxing, and I had to just swallow massive amounts of fish oil. I was just craving fish oil to control the inflammation. And I would have to take all of these like anti-inflammatory supplements to deal with all that inflammation that would happen when I tried to detox. My skin was my skin was very problematic, and I got all these injuries and just massive inflammation. And I didn't realize it was possible to do any better than that. And then I lost all my belongings, and I was like, why don't I listen to Eric Johnson, and I'll give it a shot, and I'll go west. And then it's like, oh my god, like this could have been so much easier if I had done this originally, because now I'm in a place that is good enough for me to detox. I mean, I'm sure if I were in Death Valley with, living outdoors all the time, I couldn't be in Death Valley in the summer, but anyway, if I were somewhere not in a building, like you can see there's a building behind me, I could be even more clear than less than I am now, but this is good enough for me because I can just chug cholestyramine here, I can do coffee enemas, I can do juicing, I can do infrared sauna, I can do all this stuff, and I do get tired from it, but I don't get massive inflammation, and I don't turn into the devil incarnate by doing this. And I can exercise, I can walk long distances, I can, push it a little bit with my food intolerances. I can kind of have yogurt, and, if I cheat on my food sensitivities a little bit, it's okay. So those are kind of signs that you're in a good enough place to detox. And it's a touchy subject for people because nobody really wants to hear that where you're living isn't good enough for you to heal. Nobody wants to think, oh my god, I'm going to have to uproot myself and leave people that I'm around and blah blah blah, this is going to be necessary for me to heal. And it's really, there's people do find ways to work around it. Sometimes you have to expend a huge amount of energy, though, to counteract the environment you're in. Like, maybe I could have made it work in my old environment, but I was spending actually a lot of money on supplements just to counteract my mold exposure I was getting there, and the humidity, and so it kind of like there's a trade-off, you like, and mold really is a major factor. There's no getting around that, and it's coming our way with research and people working on publicizing it. So we're not going to run away from that. That it is kind of whatever these toxins are, sort of like nerve gas, just basically exquisite toxins that are exquisitely toxic to the gut and basically inhibit protein synthesis. And like, what are you gonna do if your protein synthesis is massively inhibited day after day? Like, you're not gonna really heal all that well. But yeah, it is a touchy subject, and I think the way to just handle it is just be like, it's all trade-offs. It's all, yeah, there are sacrifices to prioritizing mold avoidance in your life. Like, you can't have a ton of other priorities besides that. Like, even now, I have friends here, and it's kind of awkward for me sometimes. I'm like, I need you to change your shirt. Like, change shirts before we hang out, or, whatever, if they go somewhere moldy. And it's really, this is not a path for people that are going to be uncomfortable having awkward social situations. It helps to have Asperger's because then you're like, whatever. And it helps to just remind yourself of your priorities. I always have to remind myself my priorities are this waking down thing that I do, enlightenment thing, and then basically mold avoidance and mold detox and healing, but like primarily through those methods, because those are the ones that give me the most results. And so like, every time the question comes up in my mind of what should I do, I think, oh, how does it match up with those priorities? And that simplifies life and gives me kind of the strength to do some of the annoying things I have to do as part of mold avoidance. So anyway, those are the summary of how you know if you're in a bad location or a good location. And what it means long term if you're in a bad location is that you might get worse every time, and you might lose the ability to get out, you know. So you don't want to get so sick that you can't travel. And that's been a constant theme for me during my whole experience with all of this. Is I'm very aware of needing not to go beyond a certain point where I would get trapped somewhere. I always have to maintain the ability to like fly or drive in a car or be driven somewhere or whatever, in case an environment is bad for me. And because you know, I hear from some people, they're like, yeah, well, my environment's bad, but I'm too sick to move. And it's like, yeah, try not to get to that place. Like, this is a warning, you know, that can happen to people, and try not to let yourself get there. And if you're in a better place, then if you're in a place where your mold level is going down over time, then it's a major factor in healing. And so that can probably make other things that you're doing more effective. It's not the only thing you need to do, but it definitely sets the stage. I mean, just think about it. If there's nerve gas everywhere in the country, if there's sort of like a low-level biowarfare going on everywhere, and you're living around it, you're just not going to be that healthy if you're susceptible to it. And if you get away from it, it's probably going to be a little better, even if even if it's uncomfortable. So yeah.